Who wants to learn this? The flying clove hitch. I'll show you how to do it. It's not that difficult. Not that difficult. That was a joke. That was a joke I just made. Yeah. Okay, so excuse my heavy breathing. I've got the camera right in front of my face. But basically what I'm doing is I'm starting with a little flick underneath, like that. That just allows me to bring it back under control. And it looks cool. Obviously that's the main reason. So a little flick, and then I'm bringing it back, and then I'm landing it maybe 6 inches, 5-6 inches away from my hand. That just gives it a bit more control. If I landed it further out, it's too erratic. Look, oh, that just goes absolutely mental. Whereas if I land it close to my hand, it's slower. So it's about controlling it. So there we go, and we catch it with the same hand, like that. And then from here, we're pretty much halfway there. We're just continuing the momentum, flicking it round, and then the tail wants to come under and back through there, like this. No, come on, behave. Like that. Okay, that took a few tries. Like that. Then this hand, my left hand, I'm just going to pull it down. That locks the tail into place, and you have the clove hitch. So I get a lot of comments with people saying, Adam, what is the point? What is the point of doing this? The main reason is it looks cool, okay? It's fun. I could argue it's about building coordination and timing and all that, but no, it just looks cool. And that's why I'm doing it, okay? So if you're starting and you're finding it quite difficult, you can just put a bit of weight in the tail just by tying an overhand knot, like so. That just gives it a bit more momentum, and hopefully it can sort of swing round, because that's the hardest bit. The last bit is to control the rope to get it to go back through there. And if you just get it with a bit of weight in the end, that makes it easier when you're learning. And then once you've got the steps down, you can get rid of that knot, because that's a bit messy, isn't it? We don't want that ruining the shot. Okay. What you could do is you could also just do a slipped stopper knot, like that. This is there's two reasons for doing this. I will now demonstrate if I can land it. There we go. So at this point, you can just pull the tail, the whole thing comes undone, and then that gives you enough tail to be able to finish off with a couple of half hitches, which will make the knot so much more secure. That's not going anywhere. The trouble with the clove, when it's not backed up, it's just like this. There's a potential that the whole thing could, slide. Oh God, that's quite erotic. The whole thing could just come undone like that, which is useless. Another option, instead of backing it up with 2 half hitches, you can back it up with a type of bowline. So that goes through. Then here, we're creating a loop, pulling this tail loose. That's going through there. And then watch this. This is all just going to plop into place. And you have a bowline above the clove, which makes the whole thing secure. That was rather exciting, wasn't it? I'll just go through how you can do that. So what I did, I've got the rope here. I'm just going to fold it over. This bit of the rope, I'm going to pull it up. And then the tail is going to go, it's going to go down, isn't it? It's going to go, is it? We'll see what happens. Yes, no. Is that good? Yes, that is. Okay, I had to question myself then, because what can happen is you can do the same thing and you can come up, and then that means the tail is on the outside, which doesn't bother me. That's just called a Dutch bowline. I mean, I tie my running bowline exactly like this. The tail's on the outside. The reason for that, sorry if I'm speaking a bit quick, I just had a caffeinated drink. The reason they call it the Dutch bowline is that the Dutch Navy would use it in icy conditions. So when you're sailing in the sea, this will flap around, flap loose, and it stops the whole knot freezing together. If you tied it the other way, with the tail coming on the inside, like that, this tended to freeze more. So that's why it's called the Dutch bowline. Cowboy bowline is another name for it. People love giving names to knots and then arguing about it. That seems to be the main hobby for sort of geeky little virgins that want to they want to argue about knots. Anyway, yeah. So I quite like to land this in a tree. That would be epic if I could do it. I've had a few attempts and it hasn't worked out, and people are looking at me like, what are you doing? Just cut the branch. But you know, whatever, I want to do it. There we go. That is sick. That is so cool. So there was a way of tying it with one hand, with your right hand. See if I can land that like that, and then again we're doing this tail thing, turning the whole thing into a bowline. So the way I'm doing that is I'm throwing it over and then pulling instead of pulling with this hand, I'm letting go of everything and then just yanking with that backhander. So that just makes it even more cooler. You can get even more attention by doing that. I will say, tying this knot has resulted in hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, and I've made thousands of pounds from doing it. Not from Instagram, but from selling the rights to the video. So it is worth doing if you've got a few hours to spare. So as I said before, it's not really practical, it just looks fun. It is a good way of building coordination, I suppose, in your hands, dexterity. Mainly just learning the shapes of these knots. So you can see the clove, you can see the bowline, and these shapes appear in lots of other different knots as well. So I think that's a long enough video. I was trying to make it 8 minutes long, so it gets monetized. So if you're still watching, thank you. I'll do some more videos, I think, next week.